Today I'm going to be going over for you the top tips that I have for authors who are looking to query an agent and sign with an agent in 2024. Stay tuned. Hi, I'm MK Williams. I'm an author. I love sharing my insights about all things books and publishing with you. Before I get into the details about today's topic, don't forget to subscribe. You'll be notified when I put out new videos every week about publishing, making a career to being an author, and now being a mompreneur. So for those of you who've been following my channel for some time, you know that I've been self-publishing since 2015, which is a long time. And starting in 2023, I decided to dip my toes back into the traditional publishing space again and try querying again for the first time in a decade. So I was successful. So I started querying at the end of January, and by the end of April, I had signed with an agent. I had multiple full requests on my manuscript, and I did a lot of research and soul searching to get to that point. So I'm going to be giving you my tips of what worked for me last year in the hopes that it'll work for you this year. Now, a big rule before I go over all these tips is that if you're querying a work of fiction, your book should be done. Done. D-O-N-E. Done. Complete. Like, yes, there will be rounds of edits with your agent and then with your editor, but you should feel that the book is done. Expect that the first query gets a full request within 24 hours. It's unlikely to happen, but expect that, because while that doesn't happen for most, like, you may have that. I had a full request on my manuscript in the first 3 days that I started querying last year. So make sure it's done. Now, if you are querying a nonfiction book, your first step is writing a proposal instead of the full manuscript. So some of these may not apply to you, but in general, if you're querying fiction, the book should be done. So if your book's not done, pause this video. Come back to it when the book's done, okay? Now, the first tip I have for you as a querying author in 2024 is to have patience. And this is something I'm trying to channel myself right now, is that this is a long process. Books move at the speed of books. Publishing moves at the speed of books, which is very long term. So have patience when you're querying, when you're actually filling out like the query and the cover letter. If you're sending an email, if you're using a query manager form, have patience, double check everything. Like, this is you asking this agent to represent you and to go into a business agreement with you. Like, take your time, don't rush it. If you don't think you have time to complete it, walk away, come back to it later. Have patience in the research process, have patience in hearing back from queries, which is so hard to do, but just have patience. So my second tip for anybody who's looking to query in 2024 is to have a plan. And if you've watched this channel a lot before about self-publishing, that's pretty much my top advice for self-publishing. It's my top advice for traditional publishing and querying. Have a plan. Have a plan. You did not just spend this long writing this book to wing it on getting an agent that will help this book get published and get a publishing deal. You should know who you're going to query first, how many passes you want to see before deciding to go back and rework your query and your pitch packet. Just because if that first person requests it and then doesn't want to sign you, that may not have anything to do. That's a sample size of 1. You need more data. At what point are you going to ask for additional help from your writers group, critique groups, or a query coach? I used a query coach. She helped so much. I started working with her after my first full month of querying, and great benefits and just giving me confidence, but also in reworking my query packet. Now, when I talk about a query packet, that's your cover letter, your query letter, usually the first 10, 15, sometimes 20 pages of the manuscript, depending on what the agent is asking for, and a synopsis, which is different from a cover letter or your query letter, which is kind of a beat by beat what happens in the book, and it does include the ending and any plot twists or spoilers. So you want to have that ready to go because you don't know which agents are going to ask for what. Now, kind of a like bullet point 2A with having a plan is to get QueryTracker Premium. I am really big on this channel advocating for where you as an author can save money, things that you don't need to spend money on. Like, you can bootstrap this, you can find a way without resources. I will say, without a doubt, get QueryTracker Premium. It is $25 for the year. It is $25 for the year for you to invest in having the data and the insights to query the right agent at the right time to get the data you need to know, is my query working? Is my are my sample pages working? Is this the right person? How long do they even take to get back? When should I even be expecting a response? It is worth every penny of value out of it to get QueryTracker Premium. And as like a 2A Roman numeral, lowercase Roman numeral point, if you're going to get QueryTracker Premium, take at least a day to learn how to use it. I've heard from other authors like, I got QueryTracker and I don't even know how to use it, so it doesn't work. It works. You just need to take the time to learn how to use it. So that's a big thing. Okay, so my third tip for authors looking to query in 2024 is to have like the best query ever. Make it really tight, make it really concise. I've heard people say between 300 and 500 words, and that's about it. It should not be rambly. Don't have inside jokes from the book that people who haven't read it yet aren't going to get. Be concise. Write it, revise it, revise it, revise it. I've heard people kind of use a little limerick of like, it's the hook, the book, and the cook. So like, what's that one line that's going to really grab somebody's attention? What is it about? And then who are you as an author, as a person, and why should somebody want to work with you on your book? Number 4, I think if you don't take anything else from this video, if this is the only tip that you take, and it's buried here right in the middle, number 4 is to follow the requested guidelines from the agent. Don't just say, well, this is my query packets. That's what I'm sending you. No. What did they ask for? Did they ask for just your query letter? Don't send any sample pages yet. Did they ask for the first 5 pages? Did they ask for the first 6 pages? Did they ask for the full synopsis as well as the first 20 pages and a cover letter? Did they say, I'm not accepting queries in this genre at this time? And you think, no, this is going to rock your world. Follow the requested guidelines. That is almost like the first test that every agent has to be like, do I want to work with this person? Can they follow basic instructions? And there's certain things with like how to write a really great query, which I'm going to get into when I eventually share my query letter that I wrote that got me an agent. But really following the industry guidelines, like you don't want to start with like, this is the best book ever. Of course you think it's the best book ever. You would not be querying it if you do not think it was the best book ever. Big hyperbolic statements like, this is the next Lord of the Rings. This is the next 50 Shades of Grey. Like, everybody who writes in those genres thinks that their book is the next one. And so that isn't telling the agent something new about your book and why it's going to stand out from other books in the market. So really make sure it's a great query, like revise it, work with other authors on it to kind of really refine it and distill it down. So yeah, like go back and like read their instructions. I don't care if your first chapter ends after 6 pages and they ask for 5 pages, they ask for 5 pages. If they're really captivated after those first 5 pages, they will want to read page 6 and they will want to read the rest of the book too. Follow the guidelines, okay? My next big tip, and this is one that like I've experienced heartbreak through others, is don't give up after 5 queries. Don't say, well, I saw 5 queries, I didn't hear anything, so it must just not be right. Those are 5 agents out of a sea of hundreds who for some reason it just wasn't right for them. So don't give up after 5 queries. If this is truly what you want, if this is truly the dream, then you're going to need to query more than 5 people. I forget my total number of queries that I sent out, but it was more than 5. And again, specifically using QueryTracker Premium, I'm actually going to link to the tutorial I did, and the strategy I used was looking at the agents who I knew had really quick response times to get an idea of, okay, are they at least skipping it? So they skimmed it, something stood out, they're coming back to it, they're asking for more pages. What are the reasons they're giving me for not connecting with it, to get some more data before then revising the query. So a sample size of 5 is still not statistically significant for you to know if it's the book itself, the query itself, or just bad timing. Okay, so my next tip it's number 6 of tips for authors who are looking to query their novel in 2024, but it's a kind of like 5A. It's very related, and this is to don't only query one agent at a time. And that's because, and a lot of other agents will say this, like they expect that you're querying other agents, and that's some of the time pressure of like, I need to look at this because if this is a great book, somebody else could be looking at it too. And if this is an author I want to sign, I need to move quickly. And so I don't believe there's a big expectation that you're only querying one agent at a time. And if an agent is demanding that, then they might not be an agent you want to work with, because they want what's best for you in your book. And what's best for you is to reach out to multiple agents and to see what's going on. I think my very first round, I did 10 queries, and these were all agents that I could see within QueryTracker Premium, got back to people within 24 to 72 hours. So I knew by the end of that week, I was going to have some idea of, did they like it? Did they not? A few agents I could see at least skipped over my query and then came back to it later. So that gave me optimism. Again, within those first 3 days, I had my first full manuscript request. So it was really helpful to have that data and to see how I could tweak things, how I could refine things for that next round that I was planning to do. Okay, and now my final tip number 7 for authors who are looking to query their book in 2024 is to trust that your book has an audience. Trust that somewhere there is an audience for your book and there could be an agent for your book. I want to give you permission to do that because you trust that there is an audience for your book. And so if you truly want to go all in with traditional, go all in. If you're starting to wane on it, you can learn about self-publishing. I'm not going to be here to tell you what's right for your book. You know what's right for your book. And you have this confidence now that there is an audience for your book and you're going to find that audience and you're going to get in front of them. Okay. So best of luck with querying. If you have other really specific querying questions, please drop them below. If I've already answered that in a video, I'll link to that, or I'll be happy to make new videos all about that process and what's going on with my traditional publishing journey right now. If you found this information helpful, please give this video a thumbs up, hit subscribe, or maybe hit that shiny new thanks button. That tells YouTube that you got value from this information, and then they can get it in front of other authors like us. Now you can get back to writing your book.